On November 4th, 1944, at Hill 326 on Peleliu Island in Palau, the sun had barely risen above the coral ridges when Private First Class Thomas Elijah Watson pulled a standard-issue olive-drab wool sock over the muzzle of his M1903 Springfield rifle. Through his 4-power inertial scope, he observed Japanese positions approximately 600 yards distant, their occupants completely unaware they were being watched. The enemy soldiers could not have known that this simple piece of clothing, combined with a technique Watson had developed over 8 months of Pacific combat, would revolutionize sniper warfare and transform one Marine into the deadliest single-day threat the Japanese had encountered in the entire Palau campaign. By sunset on November 4th, Watson would personally account for 29 confirmed kills without changing position, without being detected, and without receiving a single round of return fire. The sock covering his barrel would rewrite the tactical manual for concealment, proving that sometimes the most devastating weapons in warfare were not technological marvels, but adaptations so simple they seemed absurd until they worked. The mathematics of survival were about to be demonstrated through cotton fabric and patient observation. One Marine, one rifle, one sock, and the understanding that in jungle warfare, remaining unseen mattered more than firepower. The Japanese doctrine emphasized aggressive assault and close combat. They had no answer for an enemy they could not locate, could not engage, and could not even confirm existed until their soldiers simply stopped reporting. The development of deception. Thomas Watson had not started the war as a sniper. The 22-year-old from Appalachia, Kentucky, had enlisted in the Marine Corps on December 8, 1941, the day after Pearl Harbor. His father, a coal miner who supplemented family income through squirrel hunting, had taught Thomas to shoot before he could properly hold a rifle. By age 12, Watson was providing meat for his family of 7 siblings. By 15, he could consistently hit targets at 300 yards with iron sights. By 18, local hunters had stopped betting against him in shooting competitions. This background of necessity-driven marksmanship would prove invaluable when Watson arrived at Marine Corps Recruit Depot, Paris Island, in January 1942. His shooting scores during qualification were not just exceptional, they were unprecedented. At 500 yards, Watson placed 48 of 50 shots within the target's inner ring. The rangemaster, Gunnery Sergeant Marcus Holbrook, personally flagged Watson's records for sniper consideration. By March 1942, Watson was at Scout Sniper School at Camp Matthews near San Diego. The curriculum emphasized marksmanship fundamentals, range estimation, camouflage, observation, and fieldcraft. Watson excelled in all categories, but became obsessed with one particular problem: muzzle flash and dust signature. Every time a rifle fired, the muzzle blast created visible signatures: flash from the burning powder, dust kicked up from the muzzle blast hitting the ground, and heat shimmer from the barrel. German snipers on the Eastern Front had developed flash suppressors. Soviet snipers used careful positioning to minimize dust signatures, but Watson recognized these solutions were incomplete. Flash suppressors added weight and length. Positioning constraints limited firing opportunities. He needed something different. The breakthrough came during a training exercise in June 1942. Watson had positioned himself in sandy terrain. After firing 3 shots, the instructor located him immediately by following the dust clouds each shot created. Frustrated, Watson grabbed his spare sock from his pack and pulled it over the muzzle, thinking it might contain the blast. The next shot produced a dramatically different result. The sock absorbed most of the muzzle blast gases before they could disturb the surrounding dust. The flash was diffused through the fabric rather than creating a visible flare. Most importantly, the sock created visual confusion, breaking up the rifle's distinctive outline. Instructor Captain McLaughlin watched through binoculars as Watson fired 5 rounds. Even knowing approximately where the sniper was positioned, McLaughlin could not pinpoint the exact location until Watson deliberately revealed himself. The captain's after-action report to Marine Corps Training Command stated that Private Watson had developed an unconventional but effective technique for signature reduction using standard-issue wool socks and recommended evaluation for field implementation. Combat validation. Watson deployed to the Pacific Theater in September 1942 as part of the 1st Marine Division. His first combat came at Guadalcanal, where Japanese forces controlled most of the island. The dense jungle terrain presented challenges American doctrine had not anticipated. Visibility rarely exceeded 100 yards. Traditional long-range marksmanship was nearly impossible. Watson adapted by using his sock technique at closer ranges, focusing on concealment rather than distance. His first confirmed kill came on September 23, 1942. A Japanese officer at approximately 200 yards was attempting to direct machine gun fire against Marine positions. Watson's shot, fired through a sock-covered barrel from dense undergrowth, dropped the officer instantly. The Japanese machine gun crew, unable to locate the shooter, abandoned their position. Over the next 4 months at Guadalcanal, Watson accumulated 17 confirmed kills. More significantly, he perfected his technique through constant experimentation. He discovered that dark-colored socks worked better than light ones, absorbing muzzle flash more effectively. Wool socks proved superior to cotton, containing the blast gases better while maintaining enough breathability to prevent dangerous pressure buildup. Dampening the sock with water improved performance, but required changing it more frequently to prevent fouling. Most importantly, Watson learned that the sock had to be replaced after approximately 5 to 7 shots, depending on conditions. Beyond 5 shots, accumulated powder residue would ignite, creating the very flash signature the sock was meant to eliminate. By February 1943, when the 1st Marine Division withdrew from Guadalcanal, Watson had developed a complete methodology. He would use dark wool socks, preferably navy blue or black if available. He would dampen the sock slightly with water before positioning. He would fire no more than 5 shots before replacing the sock. He would carry a minimum of 12 socks for a full day operation. He would position in locations where natural vegetation would further break up any residual signatures. The Marine Corps Scout Sniper Instruction Manual, updated in March 1943, included Watson's technique in an appendix. Though many instructors remained skeptical, the addition of such an unconventional method to official doctrine marked the first time a field improvisation by an enlisted Marine had been incorporated into sniper training. Further refinement. Watson's second major combat deployment came at Cape Gloucester in December 1943. The dense rainforest and constant rain created new challenges. Wet socks, Watson discovered, performed even better than dampened ones. The moisture prevented the fabric from drying out and potentially igniting from muzzle blast. During 17 days of combat operations, Watson recorded 23 confirmed kills. Japanese forces, accustomed to locating American snipers through muzzle signatures, found themselves unable to effectively counter an enemy they could not find. A captured Japanese intelligence report from the 65th Brigade, translated after the war, noted that the enemy employed snipers of exceptional concealment capability, that standard counter-sniper procedures were ineffective, that soldiers reported officers eliminated by unseen shooters, and that the morale impact was significant. By September 1944, Watson had participated in 4 major campaigns. His confirmed kill count stood at 63, but the true measure of his impact went beyond numbers. Other Marine snipers had begun adopting the sock technique. The 3rd Marine Division Sniper Platoon was issuing extra socks as standard equipment. Japanese forces were developing a fear of areas where snipers might operate, something psychological warfare analysts recognized as tactically valuable. The perfect hunt. The assault on Peleliu began September 15, 1944. Intelligence had predicted the island would fall in 4 days. Instead, Marines encountered the most sophisticated Japanese defensive system yet constructed. Colonel Kunio Nakagawa, commanding the island's garrison, had abandoned traditional beach defense doctrine. Instead of attempting to stop the American landing, Nakagawa allowed Marines ashore, then engaged them from fortified positions in the island's coral ridges. The Umurbrogo Mountain, called Bloody Nose Ridge by Marines, became a fortress of interconnected caves, tunnels, and pillboxes. By early November, the 1st Marine Division had suffered over 60% casualties. The fighting had devolved into a brutal battle of attrition, measuring progress in yards rather than miles. Watson's platoon, part of the 7th Marines, had been committed to operations around Hill 326, a position that provided Japanese forces observation over Marine supply routes. Standard infantry assaults had failed. Artillery bombardment was ineffective against the deep cave positions. The division commander needed a different approach. Captain James Ridgway, commanding the Scout Sniper Platoon, proposed using snipers to systematically eliminate Japanese observers and officers. The strategy required snipers to remain in position for extended periods, engaging targets of opportunity while remaining undetected. Watson volunteered for what would become the longest continuous sniper mission of the Pacific War. The position. The position was selected after 2 days of careful reconnaissance. A coral outcropping approximately 500 yards from the main Japanese positions provided excellent observation while offering concealment from counterfire. The coral's irregular surface created natural shadow patterns that would help break up Watson's outline. Native vegetation growing in coral crevices provided additional camouflage. Watson moved into position during darkness on November 3rd. He carried his M1903 Springfield with Unertl 8-power scope, 200 rounds of ammunition, 12 extra socks, 2 canteens, 3 K-rations, and a poncho. His spotter, Corporal James Martinez from El Paso, Texas, carried binoculars, a rangefinder, a notebook for recording observations, and a backup M1903. They established their hide carefully. Watson positioned himself in a coral crevice that provided a natural shooting rest while completely concealing his body. Martinez positioned slightly behind and to the left, where he could observe without creating additional signatures. They covered themselves with the poncho, then carefully arranged local vegetation over it. The entire position, when complete, was invisible from 20 yards distance. The day of excellence. Watson pulled his first sock over the rifle muzzle at approximately 0500 hours on November 4th. The sock was navy blue wool, slightly dampened with water from his canteen. Through his scope, he began systematic observation of the Japanese positions. The technique Martinez and Watson had perfected involved patient observation, identifying patterns of movement, determining which targets were officers or key personnel, and waiting for optimal shooting conditions. The first target appeared at 0543 hours. A Japanese soldier emerged from a cave entrance carrying what appeared to be a water container. Watson let him pass. Officers and observers took priority over ordinary soldiers. At 0607 hours, an officer emerged from the same cave entrance. Martinez confirmed through binoculars the rising sun collar insignia, visible even at distance, indicated a junior officer, possibly a junior lieutenant or equivalent. Watson's first shot broke at 0612 hours. The distance was approximately 580 yards. There was a slight crosswind from left to right, approximately 5 miles per hour. The elevation angle was roughly 3 degrees downward. Watson compensated for all factors, placing his crosshair slightly high and left of center mass. The trigger broke smoothly. Through the scope, Watson saw the officer collapse.
The sock had completely suppressed the muzzle signature. No Japanese reaction was visible. They did not know they were under fire. Martinez recorded in his notebook the time of 0612 hours. Target 1, officer, range 580 yards, result confirmed kill, no enemy reaction observed. For the next hour, Watson waited. Patience was fundamental to sniper operations. The next target appeared at 0712 hours. Another officer, this one more senior, based on his sword and the deference shown by nearby soldiers. Watson's second shot, fired through the same sock, dropped the senior officer at approximately 610 yards. Still, no enemy reaction. The Japanese apparently believed their officers had been struck by stray artillery fragments, a common occurrence in the Peleliu fighting.
By 900 hours, Watson had fired 4 shots, all kills, all undetected. He changed socks, carefully rolling the used one and placing it in his pack. The Marine Corps would later analyze used socks to refine the technique, examining powder residue patterns and fabric degradation. The third sock went on at 9:05 hours. Japanese activity had increased. Soldiers were moving between cave positions. Officers were conducting inspections. Observers were scanning marine lines with binoculars. To Watson and Martinez, this represented a target-rich environment. What made this day different from other sniper operations was the combination of factors. Watson's position was perfect, offering observation of multiple Japanese positions while remaining completely concealed. The sock technique was eliminating the primary method Japanese forces used to locate snipers. The Japanese defensive layout, with multiple cave entrances visible from Watson's position, concentrated targets in his engagement area. Watson's experience and skill level had reached peak efficiency after 26 months of combat. Between 900 and 1100 hours, Watson fired 11 more shots. Each shot represented a confirmed kill. Officers, machine gun crews, observers with binoculars, soldiers carrying ammunition or supplies to forward positions. Martinez's notebook recorded each engagement with clinical precision. Target 7 at 9:32, officer directing troops, range 590 yards, confirmed kill, no reaction. Target 8 at 9:56, machine gunner, range 605 yards, confirmed kill, crew abandoned position. Target 9 at 10:03, observer with binoculars, range 570 yards, confirmed kill, no reaction. The Japanese were beginning to realize something was wrong. Officers were dying at a rate that exceeded normal combat attrition, but they could not identify the threat. Without muzzle signatures to track, they had no way to locate the sniper. Some Japanese soldiers began refusing to leave cave entrances. Others would sprint between positions rather than walking normally. This behavior, Martinez noted, actually made them easier targets. A running man follows a predictable path. At 11:30 hours, Watson observed something significant. A group of Japanese soldiers, including what appeared to be a senior officer based on his elaborate sword mountings, gathered near a cave entrance approximately 620 yards distant. Through the scope, Watson could see maps being examined. This was clearly a command conference. Watson's shot at 11:34 hours struck the senior officer center mass. The officer collapsed immediately. The other Japanese personnel scattered, seeking cover, but they scattered toward positions Watson had already ranged. His next 4 shots, fired in rapid succession over approximately 20 seconds, killed 3 more officers and 1 senior NCO. He changed socks, reloaded, and waited. The impact on Japanese command structure was immediate. With 5 officers killed in 20 seconds, the enemy forces on Hill 326 lost their tactical coordination. Planned counterattacks were postponed. Defensive adjustments stopped. The psychological impact exceeded the tactical.
If senior officers gathering for a conference could be killed by an unseen enemy, nowhere was safe. By 1300 hours, Watson had expended his third sock and was on his fourth. Martinez calculated they had 19 confirmed kills, all achieved in approximately 7 hours. The ammunition supply was holding well. Watson had fired 23 rounds, averaging slightly more than 1 round per kill. This represented exceptional economy of force. The discipline required to maintain this pace was extraordinary. Watson could not shift position significantly without potentially revealing his location. He had to remain nearly motionless for hours, only moving to aim and fire. The coral outcropping, while providing protection, was uncomfortable. Watson's body ached from maintaining shooting position, but discomfort was irrelevant. The mission continued. Between 1300 and 1500 hours, Watson added 6 more kills. Japanese activity had noticeably decreased. Soldiers were staying in caves unless absolutely necessary. Movement between positions had nearly stopped. The Marine infantry units facing Hill 326 reported significant reduction in enemy fire. The Japanese simply were not exposing themselves to engage. At 1530 hours, Watson observed a Japanese soldier attempting to signal other positions using a mirror to reflect sunlight, a common communication method when radio silence was required. The range was approximately 650 yards, Watson's longest shot of the day. He compensated for distance, wind, and angle. The shot broke cleanly. Through the scope, Watson saw the mirror fall from the soldier's hands as he collapsed. Martinez marked it as kill number 26. The final 3 kills came between 1600 and 1700 hours. 2 were soldiers attempting to evacuate wounded personnel from exposed positions. Watson made tactical decisions in real time about target selection. Wounded soldiers being evacuated were not threats, but soldiers doing the evacuation were valid targets under rules of engagement. More significantly, Japanese attempts to evacuate wounded soldiers indicated they were abandoning positions, a tactical victory. The 29th and final kill came at 1742 hours. A Japanese officer, possibly attempting to rally troops for a final stand or organize withdrawal, emerged from a cave entrance Watson had been observing all day. The range was 560 yards. The light was beginning to fade, making the shot more challenging. Watson's scope, while excellent for its time, had limited light-gathering capability, but the target was clear enough. Watson's final shot of the day dropped the officer cleanly. Martinez recorded it as target 29 at 1742. Officer, range 560 yards, confirmed kill. As darkness fell, Watson and Martinez remained in position. Marine Corps sniper doctrine required remaining in hide for a minimum of 6 hours after the last shot to avoid detection during extraction. They would wait until full darkness, then carefully withdraw. During that wait, Martinez tallied the results. 29 confirmed kills. 29 rounds fired achieving kills, plus 4 rounds that missed or could not be confirmed, equaled 33 rounds total expended. Duration of operation was approximately 12 hours. Socks used totaled 6. Japanese casualties from one Marine sniper in one day exceeded the casualties most infantry platoons inflicted in week-long operations. The tactical impact was measured by Captain Ridgway the following day. Hill 326, previously a strong point, was effectively neutralized. Japanese resistance had collapsed. Infantry patrols found the cave positions abandoned. Bodies of officers and key personnel lay where they had fallen. The psychological impact was even more significant. Captured Japanese documents translated after the battle revealed the effect. An entry from a soldier's diary dated November 4th read that officers were dying from an invisible killer, that they could not see the shooter, that they could not return fire, that some men refused to leave caves even under orders, and that this was not war, but murder from the sky. A report from a Japanese company commander stated that effective command was impossible, that officers had been eliminated by an unseen sniper, that the enemy likely employed a new weapon or technique their forces could not counter, and recommended withdrawal from current positions. The sock technique, combined with exceptional marksmanship and perfect tactical positioning, had achieved something remarkable. One Marine had broken an enemy defensive position without direct infantry assault, without artillery support, without airstrikes, using only a rifle and standard equipment modified in the simplest way imaginable. Watson's achievement spread rapidly through Marine units. By November 6th, sniper platoons across Peleliu were requesting extra sock allocations. The division quartermaster, initially confused by requisitions for dozens of wool socks, approved them after learning the purpose. By December 1944, the sock technique was official Marine Corps sniper doctrine. Training materials explicitly described the method, credited Watson by name, and required all scout snipers to master the technique.